All right, guys. So, wanted to go ahead and put together a video regarding the build on the 2000 RM125, kind of what was involved, what I did. Hopefully, I can remember everything and go through it with you and just show you around the bike and let you take a look at it firsthand. So, here we go. Okay, so just a quick ride around here. You can see we have a 2000 RM125 that is pretty much mocked up as a 1992. So let me tell you a little something about this. I want you to know something. So when I say this, all you guys with your yellow and black Suzukis, don't take offense, because there's a lot of them. And the reason there is a lot of them because the black and yellow Suzukis look awesome. But when I set out to do this build, what I did not want to do is I want to make it as if it were my personal bike. And if I'm going to have a bike that I want to ride, I'm not going to show up to the track looking like 100,000,000,000,000,000 other yellow and black Suzukis with the black rims and the black graphics and the black front fender and the black radiator shrouds and the black, all the black and the yellow, and everybody looks the same. Not that it doesn't look good, it does look good. I just don't want to look like you when I show up to the track. I want to be on a bike that's more my, maybe more my taste, and a little more individual. So with that in mind, again, don't take offense to that, but with that in mind, I wanted to do something completely different than that. So now what that means is I had to get away from all the black and go with a route of white, maybe. So as I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, it occurred to me that one of the best looking years of a Suzuki ever was in 1992. So I immediately started thinking back on that 92 and how I could make this bike into a 92 replica. Well, there it is. So let's just start with the motor, and let's take a look here. So you can see I've got basically got the motor, looks like brand new, and it should. So the very first thing I did with this engine is I tore it apart and split the cases and sent those cases immediately over to Tom Morgan because he had to fix the drain, the oil drain bolt, and I wanted him to smooth the case halves just to make sure they matched well. So he did that. I sent it back to me, and I want to see if you can tell, but the engine cases here are not the, just the aluminum finishes they were. That's actually that's actually Cerakote. I sent these engine cases to State Line Powder Coating in Ohio and asked him if he could Cerakote these to a brushed aluminum color. Nailed it. Okay, now on the cylinder, I did not do that. I simply went with the vapor blasting from Premier Vapor Blasting of Georgia. Does all my stuff, including that carburetor and all of the engine mounts, the hard parts. I'm not sure if you can see everything, but any of the cleaning I've done that way. But anyway, State Line did the engine cases. Millennium Technologies did the cylinder work as always, then sent me back the cylinder with a matched piston. New Boys and Reeds will always go in these builds. Of course, the cleaned carburetors I just mentioned from Premier Vapor Blasting, and new jets. I don't remember. I think I had to put a new air screw in it, things such as that. Let's see. I also went ahead and purchased this is still an available part from Suzuki, this front sprocket cover, so I went ahead and got that. That is the original shifter that came on the bike, just cleaned up good. And then, of course, along with the Boys and Reeds, we go with the Boys and hard parts, which I have the stator cover and, of course, the clutch cover on this side. Now, the inner clutch cover from Suzuki, as it were factory, was a kind of a light, flat gray color, kind of a boring gray. I asked my powder coater to powder coat this. This is not Cerakoted. This is actually powder coated on the interclutch cover, a darker gray. Well, he did, but in this video it looks black, but it's really dark gray. So now moving along to the exhaust pipe. This is the stock exhaust on this pipe. Everybody's just tripping about this little dent right here. Oh God, why didn't he fix the dent? Oh my Lord, the dent. This dent in real life is very small, and I just didn't see the need to do a whole lot to it, because honestly, I don't know if somebody's going to keep the stock exhaust on this or not. But nevertheless, cleaned all the paint and the grime and the rust and everything off of it, heated the seams. This is a high temp clear coat that's on it, and I think it turned out beautiful. Certainly wasn't too worried about that dent, but it does show up in pictures and videos much more than it does in real life. Coming around here to the silencer, which is also the stock silencer. This took some really work to re-clean this thing and get it back, and then of course the high temp coating on the tip there, back to black, and repacked it, and we're all good to go. All right, so on this bike I use the of course I use Galfer brakes, and on this particular build I really didn't spare anything here, so I went ahead and replaced the rotors with the Galfer. This is a 270 millimeter front brake oversized rotor, along with that, new brake pads, rebuilt the brakes, and of course you have to have the relocator bracket from Galfer to make that 270 millimeter front rotor work, and it did. Of course, Galfer brake lines, and then along the back, of course, the same wave rotor. This is standard size wave rotor, and brake pads, and then the Galfer brake line for that as well. So that'll take care of the brakes. Now, of course, you can see the wheels here. There's really only one company I use for wheels, and that's W Wheels. Sent the hubs over to my powder coater here locally in Georgia, and Greg Scoggins powder coating, and of course he did the frame for me, the Suzuki yellow frame. Now you remember when 96 through whatever 2000, or even beyond that, the frames were a dark gray, not very appealing in my opinion, but could work depending on your build. I went right back with the Suzuki yellow. Also sent him the hubs to repowder coat those into just a gray finish. So you can kind of see that's I say gray, silver finish. And I wanted, that's what the wheel or the hubs look like to start with, but I wanted a durable coating on them, and powder coat was the way to go. Sent those to W Wheel, and had those laced with the Suzuki factory color of the yellow rims, with the XL rims here. And I'm telling you, I went back and forth because the 92 of course came with silver rims, OEM, but the factory team in 2000 ran a yellow wheel. So I'm bouncing back and forth between the year 2000 and 1992. So I went ahead and went with the factory color there. I'm sorry, I went with the yellow color there. Of course, W took care of both sets of wheels, and you can see I've got the Dunlops on here. These are the Geo Max. I think I've got MX53s on both front and rear. Seems like a good I'd say soft to intermediate terrain tire for this area. It's a good choice all around tire, really. Now, speaking of powder coating, I went with the 90s blue on the spring, just because that's what I wanted. And then, of course, gosh, where was I going with that? Oh, Factory Connection takes care of the suspension components for me. So Factory Connection rebuilds the forks and the rear shock for me and gets that perfect as always. Had a little issue with the forks on this bike that came on it were not even the right forks. And then I bought a set on eBay, and then I had to buy another one. So it was a little bit of a, I don't know, whole thing there with forks. So got those sent over to Brad at Factory Connection down in Leesburg, Florida. He took care of it, as always. All right, let's see. Moving over to the tank, of course, the sanding, finishing process on the tank. I'm not the best at that. I'm getting better, but I'm certainly not the best. But I can make the tank look pretty good. So I got the tank right, and you know, if you're going to redo a tank or do anything to your tank, it's a great idea to go ahead and redo that bad boy right there. New O-rings, of course, new fuel line, and new bolts, and just check everything. Get all the crud and the mud and everything out of there. The fuel cock that came on this bike was shot. I bought this one, and I bought another one, and so this is the one that ended up going on the bike. I've got a spare one. The radiators I weren't in love with, so I went with the set of new radiators for this bike. Now, these are the ones that you can purchase on eBay. I've done it probably 3 times. I think it's GPI radiators. I've always had real good luck with them. And I've seen a lot of good reviews. So I don't know what to say, guys. So far, so good, you know? So anyway, got that taken care of. As far as the brake lever here, this is the brake lever that came on the bike with a different, gosh, I forgot what that thing is called. I'll remember it in a minute. Anyway, I replaced that, and also replaced the pedal. You can actually get a replacement pedal, still an OEM part. These are the pegs that came on the bike. These, I did some refinishing on these and just cleaning them up good. I put them in the bead blaster. I went with a dark metallic gray finish, but only on the inside. On the outside is the bare polished metal with a clear coat. And so I thought that looked pretty nice. Probably could have gone a little darker gray on that, but in the video it may be a little harder to see, but in real life it's not. So it turned out really nice. And then, of course, I had to, I think I had to get a different, no, I think I had to rebuild the rear brake master cylinder, if I'm not mistaken. There's something going on there. But anyway, got that taken care of. Brakes are always rebuilt. I always pull those apart and completely rebuild both brake calipers. And of course the master cylinders if needed. All right, let's move up to the handlebars here. Just a good cleaning on this, and I use the Prime MX cleaning wheels to brush up this aluminum to make it look the way I want it to look. This is actually a Tusk brake lever. I use these things a lot. They are great brake levers. They're very, very close, if not identical, to an OEM, so and much cheaper. So this is a good tip for you. There, the Tusk from Rocky Mountain ATV MC is a great lever. You will need to buy the adjustment screw and the spring separately, and that can be in your OEM parts schematic there. You can find that. I went with a Pro Taper 7/8 handlebars for this one, and of course the Pro Taper just on the fly clutch. They make 2 models. This one is the lesser expensive of the 2, but gosh, it works just as good. I've used this personally for a bunch of years, and I've used the other one, and I'll be honest with you, I've got had the more expensive one on my quad, and then I've got this one on a bike, and I honestly don't tell the difference in it at all. So anyway, with that, I almost always go with the ODI grips, And then for the kill switch, speaking of Tusk, I have used their kill switch on several builds because it is OEM style and it plugs right into the harness, no rewiring or anything like that needed. Now let's just hit these graphics. I know what you're wanting to know about right here. What about these graphics? Well, glad you asked. The graphics here are from Decal Works. This was a kind of a special order graphic kit that I worked with my guy Sean over at Decal Works, and we worked this out over the phone, literally, and email at the same time while we were talking on the phone. Just knocked it straight out of the park. And so a little bit of backstory here. So for the years 96 through 98, the radiator shroud looked like this one. For the years 99 and 2000, they came way down here, almost looked like the head of a shovel. Big radiator shrouds. I was not at all in love with those. So I searched the world over. Let me a second. I'm telling you, I searched for new white radiator shrouds for 96 through 98. There were none on this earth. You hear me? There were none in the world. And finally, one set popped up on eBay. They were in the UK, and I bought them, and he made me pay, but I paid the price and got those. So we made the graphics fit 98 shroud. You've seen this style of graphics kit all over eBay and any other place. And the problem with those, not that they're ugly or anything like that, but they are just tiger striped to death. I mean, they're all over the tank, and it's everywhere. It's just painted all over everything. And if you go back and look at the 92, that is not how it was. The only thing I think they had something on the number plate, but actually right on the rear fender there was some small stripes. But most of the time that got covered up by sponsor stickers. So I wanted to do away with all that and just have the factory looking RM radiator shroud. It needed to be all white. The graphic needed to be all white. Nothing at all on the tank. And that's what I got. So anyway, the guys over at Decal Works just knocked it straight out of the park. Look at the beautiful job on the 92 style type of graphic here. Just phenomenal job. I love it. Did great. Now, second question you're waiting on. What about this seat cover? All right, same kind of deal here. I searched this world over for that seat cover to fit a 2000 seat. Well, that would be what, a 96 through 2000 most likely seat. They don't make them. I'll save you the hassle. You can look all you want to. They don't make that seat cover for that style seat. What they do make is that seat cover for a 92. Well, I made it fit, and I'm going to be honest with you. It was not easy, and I gave up like 3 times, and was going to sell the thing. I'll sell it to somebody that's got a 92, and I'll just get a blue seat cover. But I kept talking myself back into trying again, and I finally started making some headway, and sure enough, I got it on. So number one, the seat base has got a new Guts Racing seat foam on it. I always go back to the stock medium foam density. Once I got this stretched over, now you can see this line of yellow right there. That's actually supposed to be underneath. On the 92 seat, that's where the seat stopped. But the 92 seat was also longer. So you see here, just the first piece of the Suzuki is folded under. There's no way around it. And the same way back here. There was just no way I could stretch it forward enough to get the sides down enough and the back on. I'm telling you, I tried it every way but Sunday, and this is it. This is what I came up with. But you know what? It turned out great. I don't know if I want to attempt it again, or at least I don't want to right now. But anyway, it turned out good. So last but not least, I think, well, I don't know if I'm going to say last. I went with the yellow good grief, the yellow radiator hoses, I couldn't think. Instead of black, almost went with blue. Blue would have looked fine, would probably look really good, but I just decided to kind of stay in line with the yellow theme. As far as air filter, I may have went with the Tusk air filter. Tusk has a great air filter. It's a lot like the twin air filter to me. Let's see if I'm forgetting anything. You know what? In 1992, if you're not going to show up at the gate with a pink bar pad, you might as well go home, right? Now, that pink was just part of the 90s feel that I wanted to give this bike. So I thought it was a great little touch for it. So let's see, where else am I? Oh, crank. I sent the crank to Millennium Technologies for this build, and they did a great job of rebuilding that. It's got a Pro X rod kit in it, and getting that balance back, and so I could get it back in the build, or back in the bike rather. The clutch is, gosh, guys, I'm sorry, I don't remember which brand of clutch I used on this. I'm building 3 bikes, and I don't remember which one got what. I don't know. You're going to have to get back to me on that if you need to know. And then, so I've used this bolt kit several times on a few builds. And you can see that it's, oh my God, it's a great kit. I love it. And let me show you this other side. And I'm going to tell you, and I know there's some people that don't like that, and I understand why too. These hex head bolt kits, you know, they fill up with dirt, and you got to get all that out so you can get it out. But you can. But man, do I love the way that they look. So I bought these for this kit. It's a company called Alloy Bolts, and that bolts is with a Z, all one word. You can find them online. I think I found them on eBay or online. I don't remember. I've ordered directly from their website. So anyway, you can do the same thing there. There is a company on eBay that makes a fantastic kit, and I always forget somebody, and this is going to be the one. They make a fantastic hose kit that's already basically cut and ready and good to go. And so I bought that kit from them, and for this carburetor. So gosh, I wish I could remember. I'll think of it. If you need to know, just message me. I'll find out. But other than that, every nut and bolt and everything that I could replace, I did. Guys, I'll tell you something on this bike here. I spared no expense on it. I went through it with everything I knew how to do. I tried to do everything as perfect as possible. I didn't leave anything unturned. I didn't think, well, this part is still pretty good, I'll just continue to use it. No, I didn't. I'm talking about I ordered every single thing that I could. And OEM parts, always spend a little more on the OEM parts, but I just know they're going to be the right one, and I don't have to worry about it, you know, and get something and go, oh God, this isn't right, and then order again and all that whole mess. So I didn't leave anything behind, and I built one of the nicest bikes I think I built to date. And I always say this in every video. If you ever watched any of them, I always say, I think this is my nicest one. I think it's my favorite one. I love the Suzukis of this era. As I was beginning the build and beginning to get ideas and thinking about the 92, I was getting more excited. So this is such a great bike. And I'll turn back around here and give us one more lap around. It's such a great bike, and it was a fun build. It took me a long time to do it because I was building the garage kind of in the middle of it, and I was also working on a couple of other bikes. Got back from Supercross Atlanta 2022 yesterday. This bike was on display. I have finished everything I'm going to finish. I'm going to try to break it in a little bit today. And yes, this one will be for sale. It's going to hurt my feelings to see it go, but it needs to go out and see the track and and be ridden. So that's, I tried to just think through everything that I could. Oh, the plastics. Before I go, this is the Polysport kit. It was a good kit for this bike. So I bounced back and forth between UFO and Polysport, just depending. And I went with the Polysport on this. So let's just try to think of anything that I could possibly think of as we were walking around. If you have any questions or any particular questions about this build that I didn't cover, by all means, just shoot me a message. Look me up on Instagram or Facebook as well at J Kaiser Custom MX, and I'll be glad to answer anything that I can. Hey, I appreciate you watching, and hope you enjoyed looking at this bike and maybe inspired you to build your bike maybe similar to this, or gave you an idea. So, hey, thanks for taking a look. See you guys later.